2 points then is the announcement today, another deduction. What do you think when you saw it?
I think, to be fair, it wasn't totally unexpected. I think that was probably the number that was being banded about over the weekend. That seemed to be what people thought it was going to be. I think Paul Joyce initially said it would be between 1 and 3 way back at the end of February when the reduction was announced. So I think between 1 and 3 was what's been on my mind. But I think in terms of what I actually think about that number, I think it's a farce, to be honest, that Everton can have 6 points taken off them, have only four given back. They've had to play sort of 3 months of the season with the worst punishment in the history of top flight English football. Even 6 points, I believe, is the second worst behind Portsmouth, which was 9 points, I think 2009, 10-ish sort of time. And that was obviously for going to administration. So back up to 8 now, second worst punishment in the history of top flight football. Feels incredibly unjust and wrong, to be totally honest. So, um, yeah, I think it's a real shame for us, but obviously it's still in our hands and we can still recover from this. But certainly hope people don't forget this.
Yeah, the club have said they're going to appeal this, and obviously it sounds like you'd be very supportive of that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think the case of the appeal is that obviously I think it's meant to end, or the final date for that is actually after the season's finished, and there's no way that the Premier League season can end and you don't know who goes down. I know it might get to a point where it doesn't matter because Everton are maybe safe or Everton are maybe down, and regardless of what points, uh, come back to them or don't, it might not matter. But I think as a principle, the Premier League absolutely cannot let this season overrun beyond its means because that would just be an absolute joke. You celebrate last game of the season thinking we've maybe stayed up, maybe Forest, maybe Luton, Palace, Brentford, whoever it might be. Burnley or Sheffield United, of course, are well on fully down yet. So I think that would be totally wrong for that to happen. But in terms of appeal, yeah, absolutely. I think Everton have got to do what they can to maybe claw another point or two back because over the last couple of seasons, a point or two have really counted for us.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of the frustration with this is how inconsistent the punishments have been for different clubs. Obviously, we obviously very aware of the situation with Forest, and obviously the original punishment that Everton got, and the appeal that obviously proved that first punishment was over the top and too harsh. So, what have you made of just the journey to this point? 2 points here. It was 10 before, then it was six. Forest get, is it four? It seems a bit all over the place.
Yeah, it's absolutely all over the gaff for sure. I mean, I think it's so frustrating. You have the whole City finger on the background, and I totally get that 115 charges is probably more difficult to deal with. But I think it's more a case that fans very rightfully don't have any faith that City will get anything that will impact them as much as Everton do. They may well get a point deduction in a season or two, but if City lose 10, 12, 15 points, whatever it could potentially be, because it's a far worse breach, that probably just means they don't finish top and they probably come third or fourth. That's kind of, the level of where we're at the minute. I think in terms of Forest, the fact that they signed about 30 odd players in the last year or so and I've only been deducted four, seemingly for down from six on an admittance. I think Everton obviously work with the Premier League to try and prevent this from happening. Everton had plenty of mitigating factors for what's gone on over the last few years, and they still came to, what I would argue is an absolutely insane number of 10 to begin with. I think the whole of world football thought that was bang out of order, and I think even once it was reduced, I think a lot of people thought six was a lot. But when you're on such a bad run for Everton, you basically get a win and a draw back with four. So I think there was a decent reaction to that, but that was only in a case of me thinking that we wouldn't lose anything further when this came around. And obviously to lose another two, half of what Forest got seems bonkers to me. And yeah, I think if Forest had maybe lost six, and people were probably a bit more accepting of this based on purely the season. But I think both Everton and Forest can really look at this and think that what the Premier League have done over the last 12 months has been an absolute farce. And I think it's a case that, yeah, obviously with where Everton are at the minute, it's a real struggle for us.
Yeah, and as you say, every point really matters when you're at the bottom of the league. So, does these, even though other clubs may see a couple of points as not a huge thing, but for Everton it could really prove the difference. You don't know. Obviously, it's good you got the win at the weekend, but from Everton's I spoke to, it wasn't very convincing, was it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and obviously, the fact that Everton are in bad form doesn't help. If Everton had maybe won sort of 7, 8, 9, 10 points over the last couple of months. It might have obviously improved things for us, and it would have meant that this maybe didn't matter so much. But yeah, I was kind of speaking briefly a couple of days ago, sort of saying that, it feels a bit like when you've gone 2 goals up in a game and you've brought it back to 2-2, and the other team have brought it back to 2-2, and you've had to go and win it again. I feel like we're trying to have to get safe again because we've won 35 points this season, which I think this year probably keeps you up, maybe 36, 37. But yeah, I think it's certainly a case that where Everton are, how they're playing at the minute is a real difficult one. But yeah, hoping that that result on the weekend, no matter how ugly it was, and it was very ugly, um, you hope that those kind of performances can just drag us over the line and we can start a proper fresh next season, hopefully. But obviously, we'll see.
Yeah, so I was going to say, do you, even with these couple of points up, do you still feel confident that you've got enough to get over the line?
Yeah, I'm still confident. Yeah, I think Everton can do. It's fully in their hands. They're playing obviously Luton away, Sheffield United at home. They obviously just played Burnley and they won that game. Brentford at home to come. Forest in a couple of weeks, which will be a real big game. I think whoever wins that will feel they've got the edge on the other. But it's just so unpredictable. Obviously, it's good for us that Luton and Burnley and Sheffield United have struggled so much this season, but Luton just keep fighting, and fair play to them for that. And obviously, it's not their fault that this situation's happened to us. I think they were deducted 30 points only sort of 10 or 12 years ago, so they know the feeling of losing points and starting stuff on the back foot. But yeah, I'm fully confident Everton can still do this, and I just hope that if they do this, they can, as I say, hopefully start afresh and have a incident-free final season at Goodison.
Yeah, for sure. And just finally from me, obviously, as you say, this season has been tumultuous to say the least, with all of this hanging over you. And obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the process that the Premier League and independent regulators and things like that. What do you think needs to happen? Because obviously, it's not just Everton fans that are frustrated with this, is it? It seems to be a football-wide issue that many other fans are really frustrated at seeing it as well. But obviously, more so Everton because you're impacted by it. But what do you think should happen to make things fairer, to make sure that these punishments are right? What do you think needs to happen?
I mean, I think it seems that Everton went straight to a point deduction, which seems incredible to me, really, because it's a case of obviously you feel like fines and maybe European bans, transfer bans. They're the sort of things you've seen in the past. Chelsea obviously had a transfer ban a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, it seems like an independent regulator would probably be the best thing for the Premier League. The fact that they can just hand out a 10 point deduction seems crazy to me, even still. I know we're a few months sort of removed from that, but the fact that Everton obviously lost 10 points to begin with, that kind of set in motion this tangent of decisions which seem to lack thought, and obviously the rules seem to be changing now, which doesn't seem right. I'm not sure two how our team can be deducted points twice in one season. That seems again crazy to me. But yeah, I just think it needs to be fairer. And I think if Everton's case obviously seems to have been expedited, same with Forest, to be punished in the same season. I think it obviously is a case that goes kind of goes across the board. So I just hope that Everton can stay up. I hope Forest can obviously do as well as they can, and then we don't have another season where it's kind of um, where calculators are deciding a Premier League season. I don't think anyone wants that.